नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, वड़क्कम, खंबागणी, राम राम साहब, आप सभी को ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है. We have for the first time Sriram Seshadri sir. Sriram Seshadri sir, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the alternate media. The topic today is very, very important, and it relates to one of the topmost newspapers and one of the oldest ones in India, that is the Hindu. The editor of Hindu, Malini Parthasarthi, has resigned. And she is accusing N. Ram, 75-year-old N. Ram, who runs the leftist newspaper, of harassing her. So over to you, sir. Ji.
Namaskar to alternate media and the viewers. Thanks for having me on the show, Gayatri. A quick recap of the Hindu group. It's about 140 plus year publication group based out of in South India, based out of Chennai, started by Mr. Kasturi Rangan, and the family holds the entire stake in that publication. N. Ram had been the editor and chairperson before he retired when he reached the age of 75, and Malini Parthasarthi took over the position. There is an ideological alignment that N. Ram converted the Hindu, which used to be a traditionally favored newspaper in the households of Tamil Nadu. Because even before the Indian Express, Times, and other newspapers started coming into South India, Hindu always dominated, especially that in the Tamil Nadu region. Hindu always dominated the circulation, but they deviated from their neutrality and they started aligning more towards the Congress government. Then that's okay, that's fine. Whichever is the government of the day, the alignment would happen, but more so to the Dravidian ideology driven by the DMK. I'll give a little bit of background about this. During 2006 to 2011, when the DMK government was there under the chief ministership of Mr. Karunanidhi, there was a Tamil vernacular newspaper called where there was a Dinakaran, which published an article about who is more popular or who is going to be the next in command for DMK, and then they proposed another son of Mr. Karunanidhi, that MK Azhagiri, and not MK Stalin, who is the current chief minister of the day. And this caused a large amount of irritation to the DMK party, and then they actually burnt that newspaper in Madurai. Madurai division they burnt, and then 3 people were murdered in that particular activity. At that point in time, the Hindu group also published whatever the Dinakaran published. The Hindu group also published, and they criticized a lot about the DMK government then. And actually, the Hindu publication is in the land given by the Tamil Nadu government to Asian College of Journalism, and this land is given from the government for the upliftment of art, journalism, and other cultural activities under that particular aegis. And with a 15-day notice, Tamil Nadu government asked Asian College of Journalism to surrender the land at that point in time. And immediately N. Ram went and prostrated to Mr. Karunanidhi, and then brokered with them and saved.
No, it's okay. There was a lot of noise coming from your end. Yeah, it's fine now, sir.
Okay, I don't know, because I'm in a quiet place. Okay, anyway, I don't know what is the reason. Anyway, that point in time, N. Ram ran to Mr. Karunanidhi, brokered the deal, prostrated to him, and saved that newspaper or the land. Since then, one of the arrangement is they will not criticize or talk against the DMK government, or more so carry the Dravidian ideology and then be pro-DMK. Malini Parthasarthi, who is an independent person, who had always been independent in her journalistic ethos, and she actually had more right-leaning policies than the left-leaning policies of N. Ram. In fact, to that extent, the DMK controls this paper. I want to just quote one more incident, that even though Enram had been a Politburo member of left, Communist Party, and he still is a Communist, party member, the labor union in the Hindu, the publication, is a DMK labor union and not a left or communist labor union. The labor union leader is Miss Kanimori, who is daughter of the previous CM, Mr. Karunanidhi, or sister of current CM Stalin. So that is the level of control that DMK has over this particular newspaper, which had its own historical reputation but lost its sheen over the years when they started aligning with the Dravidian ecosystem. Malini Patsadi wanted to revive it to its grand old, stature, and wanted to bring it to a neutral phase. And of course, you could see that all over India, the media houses are becoming more and more pro-BJP ideology or pro-central government ideological alignment, which happens in any democracy or any country when the government of the day is a stronger, stable, and in a continuous long-term government. Naturally, the media houses tend to align with that particular, government's ideology. It happened during when Mrs. Gandhi was the Prime Minister of the nation. It does happen today. We will see one more, split that is happening in another large media group, Times Group, that is also some amount forced by this ideological and leadership crisis. Whereas coming to the Hindu, this ideological alignment of Malini Patsardi towards the BJP or to the right wing or to stay neutral and centrist did not augur well with Enram. Malini Patsardi also met Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, I think last year, trying to become the nominated Rajya Sabha MP, where Ilayaraja actually, the music director Ilayaraja got that position eventually. But she attempted to become the MP also during that period. One of the reasons that Malini Patsardi didn't get, which I believe, I am just only guessing, there's not a confirmed report by neither by Malini Patsardi nor by the government, but we hear through the grapevine that the Hindu publication had been anti-government, and hence that was one of the reasons probably she didn't get that position. So she wanted to move towards more neutral, more pro-government or pro-rightist way of publications. And the Sengol, when the new parliament was launched on 28th May 2023, the Sengol that was presented and then kept in the parliament, that actually created the last straw on the camel for the fight between Malini Patsardi and her cousin Enram. Enram is more powerful in the board, the 12-member board. Enram probably, even though the shareholding in the company is not the major shareholder, nor his siblings, the four brothers of Mr. Kasturi Rangan who founded this particular news group, even though the Enram siblings, direct siblings, did not hold the majority stake, but the entire board is more or less controlled by Enram. And hence, Malini Patsardi did not want the publication to suffer, because it did happen in the past. In 2000, early 2000, similar thing happened, and then the group was about to split. That time, G.K. Moopanar, who was part of Congress, intervened and then solved the crisis. So Malini Patsardi did not want this group to split, so she gracefully stepped down from the position, and her sister Nirmala Lakshman, who has taken over the chairperson now. It's all because of, once again, the political alignment. And Hindu group also has another line of control through the relationship with the Marans. The Sun Network, Kalanidhi Maran's wife is, Enram's, they belong to the Hindu group. So they have that marital relationship also with the DMK ideologues family. So all in all, put together, this is a forced decision on Malini Patsardi, where her control over the editorial, control over the neutrality was shrinking, and more Enram's ideological alignment to DMK and left, and anti-government, anti-central government was more and more, friction was created, and hence Malini Patsadi stepped down, announced a step, that she is resigning from the board. That's a background why there is a friction, why the Hindu group goes through this sort of, issue. But I think it's going to continue to be pro-DMK, pro-left, and anti-BJP or anti-central government of the day. That is going to be their clear policy. That's what we hear.
Right. And she's accused Enram of not letting her speak her mind out. And she's been accusing this, as you said, a couple of times earlier also. So do we see Hindu as being completely biased? Because, just for the viewers' sake, Hindu is the newspaper all the IAS aspirants read, the one who write the exams in English. Because some of the articles are really good, the editorial pages are really good. Forget about the rest of the news is definitely biased, but some of the editorials coming from some very senior journalists are remarkable. But the left agenda can be seen in the newspaper. You don't even need to be a left or right person to understand the kind of propaganda that they're spreading through the newspaper. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Malini Patsadi had complained about this quite a few times, that after she became the chairperson, Enram was not allowing her to run this in a free manner. And she was not able to, even though she appointed their Washington correspondent, who was more RSS leaning person, not the current one, not Sriram Lakshman before that, that irked Enram again. The ideological shift that Malini Patsadi wanted to bring it to Hindu and make it into a neutral newspaper, because Hindu was always revered until 90s or until Ram took over as the chairperson. The Hindu always had been a most trusted newspaper, unbiased, most trusted. But after Enram took over, they started leaning left. But that time the Congress government was in place, and hence Enram's that leaning towards the left, leaning towards the DMK was not a major factor that emerged or that people noticed. Second aspect was, those days, I'm talking about mid 90s and then early 2000s, the penetration of the other national media, print media, like the Times Group or Times of India or the Deccan Herald or other Hindustan Times, have not happened in Tamil Nadu much. Only print newspaper that had always been a competitor for Hindu was the Express, Indian Express. The Goenka Group, Indian Express, was the only competitor for Hindu. But even then, the articles that are written and, like you said, the coverage and the languages used, the data points and details given in the Hindu was far more, formidable compared to Indian Express, and hence it became the English newspaper of every household in Tamil Nadu. Even though the Hindu has not progressed or gone to North India much, but it still ruled in the South India, especially the Tamil Nadu, never allowed any other newspaper to penetrate. So, but the shift towards the left-leaning and pro-DMK, editorial and articles, plus the invasion of Times Group, Times of India, and other newspapers coming, predominantly Times of India. I think it captured the market, and then it captured the attention of various people who shifted from the Hindu to Times of India. The second is, Enram being a communist, he was also atheist. So the Hindu publications were also, against the religion, against the Hindu faith. Many articles used to appear, many advertisements used to appear about that. And hence the ardent followers and the believers of the Hindu faith found it suffocating to buy this newspaper and still be thrust upon those anti-Hindu, Hindu god articles appearing on the paper. So because of that, they wanted alternate, newspaper, and then they shifted to Times Group or Times of India predominantly. Of course, Times of India started carrying a lot of North Indian news, and people were more interested. Now the digital media has totally transformed the print media, and then but still the print media holds good for many households where people want to read every day morning, using the paper and not just looking at a computer screen or a laptop or a mobile screen. So we can see a significant amount of shift in the editorial, shift in the bias that the Hindu will continue to have. Even though Malini Patsadhi attempted to change it towards the neutrality, but she was not successful to the extent that she wanted. But now it will shift back to anti-BJP, anti-current central government, and pro-DMK. That will be the biased news that we will see from the Hindu continuously, and I think it's going to hurt them much more than what they think. But predominantly, what keeps NRAM afloat to go towards that ideology still is the land on which the particular publication is situated, which is donated by the state government for the purpose of publication, like the National Herald. Here, the state government had gifted or donated this land to Asian School of Journalism, and that is where this Hindu newspaper is functioning. I think all these put together, it is a political decision. It is a politics of ideological alignment that caused stepping down of Malini Patsadhi.
So there's another newspaper which is undergoing tremendous change. That's a Times Group. And the split was finalized a couple of days back. The two brothers have been warring for a long time. Right. And now it's been established. Would you like to throw some light on that also?
See, unlike the Hindu, where there is an ideological misalignment and conflict, I don't see a major problem in the ideological alignment. It is more of a family feud of who has the control, and then leadership crisis. Who is going to provide the leadership to the print as well as the digital media of the Times Group between the brothers Samir and Vinit Jain. I think the Bennett Coleman, the parent parent company, had changed hands several times. I think in the 1980s or is when it came to the Jain brothers and the family, and they started providing a stable leadership, and it has become one of the most successful print newspaper that is in the market. So if you take the Economic Times, Times of India, all those put together, is still taken as a unbiased newspaper. Of course, print business is the largest of the Times Group compared to the digital and other franchises that they own on the Femina and other the media MX as a OTT platform. Compared to all these, the print media still, the Times Group print media is still the largest in the revenue earning. And because of that, there was a feud between the brothers. I think Mr. Goenka is the one who was actually brokering the deal between them, who announced last week that there is a settlement that is coming into play. I think official statement has not come from the Jain brothers, but at least in a lot of newspaper carried the statements from the known persons and the investment bankers who also commented about this particular split. But in this case, it is more of a family feud or family settlement than ideological alignment. But I still see across the nation there is a alignment of ideological alignment moving towards the right wing or the BJP ideology for the news media. We saw NDTV changed hands a few months back to Adani Group from the Pranay Rai family, and so similarly, and Ambani's own the News 18 network. So all these business houses would want to have alignment to the government of the day, and especially the stable government is being offered for the last 10 years, expected to continue in 2024 also. And hence they would want to be more closer to the government, more pro to the government, which is fair. At the same time, stay unbiased and stay neutral with respect to their some of these news articles, editorial, and center pages. I think columns and others. So they stay neutral by that way. But the ideological alignment shift is definitely happening in India towards the government of the day. But I see this split as more of a family settlement than as anything else compared or similar to what happens in the Hindu house.
Right. So since in the beginning of the show, I assume my viewers to know you because most of them have been following you through different social media networks. But still, I would like to just say, sir is a business advisor. He's a strategy consultant. He is a change management expert, leadership development coach, and he also is an advisor for fund and debt syndicate, fund and debt syndication and change. So it's because sir has a corporate experience in tectonic shifts in the changes in the business or things like that. He can read through the lines very, very early, right in the initial stages, and because of that he can see there's a marked shift happening across most of the newspapers across India. Do you think that this is happening because of the stability of the government, or because the government now wants to make sure that anti-India, anti-government ecosystem or toolkits are curtailed and contained? Because what we saw during Corona times was horrendous, very shocking, very tragic, something of that sort. Yes, sir.
See, government, the Information Broadcasting Ministry, to me, I'll criticize this government, is not effective in curtailing some of the fake news peddlers, even even though it's a licensed newspapers or the media houses peddled several, fake news. Washington Post and other international media carried a picture of funerals happening in the Ganges, as if the entire country is mourning and then the entire country is under funeral, and exaggerating the death tolls during the Corona. Definitely, this is foreign influenced articles that have been written in Washington Post and other newspapers in the US. Which wanted to malign the Indian control or Indian development. I'll give a small example. During Corona, if any such pandemic had happened about 10 years back, what would have happened is we would have been begging Pfizer's and Moderna's of the world for vaccines to be given to us. Maybe we would have even shelled out billions and billions of dollars to buy this rather than developing our own vaccine. Whether the vaccine is a placebo or panacea, that's a different story altogether. But, we would have been begging and then we would not have made any attempt to manufacture vaccines in India. But of course, there is a technological changes that has happened. Clear leadership is in the country where they want, Modi wanted to actually control this pandemic and then probably come out of it much more faster than the entire world and not depend on the Pfizer's of the world. We saw Pfizer actually literally taking the sovereign guarantees from various smaller countries and South American countries, literally buying that entire country for supply of vaccines. And that would have happened to India as well. But actually, India upset the entire, American business houses. So they were perturbed and they wanted to spread fake news about what was happening in India. The oxygen crisis. Nobody is saying that oxygen crisis never happened, but it was not as publicized as it was. More shortage was there. There was a shortage in pockets of places, unprecedented shortage, but that would have happened even otherwise. So, and there were a lot of malpractices. That is when the oxygen audit was brought out by the government. Immediately, Kejriwal has to track back and then surrender a lot of oxygen demands. So this was politics played over when people were migrating especially from Tamil Nadu and other places to UP and Bihar. they did not want to take the train offered by the government. They walked. The simplest reason, most of the people who decided to walk, because they didn't have the Aadhaar card. Probably they were illegal migrants too. I'm not saying 100% of them who walked were illegal immigrants, but there are a significant portion of them were illegal immigrants who did not want to go by them. But the media houses went and photographed and videographed, propagated the news, rather than going and telling a police station just a couple of kilometers down the line saying that here is a bunch of people who are walking, why don't you take them and then put them in the train. Nobody had the responsible coverage of that. So this government, especially the Information Broadcasting Ministry, is at its worst and never ever performed at the expected level. I don't even know whether Mr. Anurag Thakur, who is INB minister, and Mr. Murugan, who is Information Broadcasting Minister for State, do even know what is happening in the media industry. They don't even have control anything. Say, for example, in Tamil media, vernacular newspapers, they abuse the Prime Minister, left, right, and center. Murugan, being a Tamilian who knows to read Tamil, doesn't even take or doesn't even object from the government side, doesn't even give any input. What I'm trying to say is this government, for once, had it been a Congress government, would have controlled much more of the media. In fact, would have shut down several media houses if the amount of bad publicity or false publicity given by many media houses on the Modi government. Had it been on the UPA 1 and 2, probably they would have shut down most of these new media houses. So that way, this government is not forcing the media houses to shift the alignment. It is a natural shift of the alignment that happens for any businessman. For any business to thrive, any business they will always align with the government, especially when the government is of a stable nature. Last 10 years, there has been a clear mandate and then stability in the government. 2024 expected to continue in the same way, stability and the clear mandate expected to come at this point in time. I'm not saying what will happen in another 1 year down the line, but at this point in time, that stability do happen. World over, many leaders, many countries look upon India as a guiding force on many aspects, not just during the corona phase, but also many aspects. Today, yesterday, Washington government, released a press statement saying that you want to see a vibrant democracy, go to Delhi, you will find vibrant democracy. Whereas Mr. Rahul Gandhi is touring US and then saying that there is no democracy in India. So clear contrasting point of views coming from an external government saying that, go to Delhi to experience a vibrant democracy, and leader of a largest party in India goes abroad and then says that there's no democracy in India. So that is a contrasting point of views, and both gets carried in the newspapers, both get carried in the media. So naturally, media, being a business, will want to align with the government for their own benefit and stop peddling fake news. At least as long as they stay neutral, that's all expected from the media houses. For your information, nowadays nobody 100% relies on the established media houses, which has an editorial policy, which has an editor and all. There are YouTube channels, social media channels. In Tamil Nadu alone, I know about 56,000 YouTube channels, news channels are available. Of course, out of that, in lower double digit, which are more prominent, but there are 56,000 registered news channels on YouTube. One can just go and take a list of it. Imagine each one of them having 100 viewer. You are talking about a significant portion of people, more than 5 crore people are watching. At least 50 lakh, 5 million to 6 million people are watching fake news, that is uncontrolled fake news that is getting peddled in these channels, right? So, but INB doesn't have a control over it. There is no policy for controlling these YouTube channels. There is no editorial policy. There is nothing to govern these YouTube channels. That's where I say that Information Broadcasting Ministry has failed in this government. At least they should wake up and then start formulating certain policies similar to, say, for example, you take any media houses which are established media houses, in the business, be it print or digital media. They have an editorial policy, they have an editorial board who are accountable for what news that they publish. Whereas the YouTube channels that are there, nobody is accountable. You can't even file a defamation case on them because there's no editorial policy or editorial guideline available for such channels. So I think I would say, Gayatri, that this government miserably failed in controlling the fake news, controlling, governing some of these social media channels. I think they should have done this much more earlier. So it is a business decision that the alignment is happening. Probably it took a longer time to explain this rather than just 2 lines.
No, sir, it is perfectly fine. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. जाने से पहले सभी viewers से request है, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the alternate media. You want to contribute, you want to support, you want to say, constructively criticize, you want to appreciate. All the links are given in the description box. इसी के साथ जय हिंद, जय श्री राम, हर हर महादेव. Thank you so much, sir, once again.